Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the News Trade edition of 3rd of October, wherein we try and make all important news for the day in the most simplest format for you guys to understand. So let's look at the important news which we're going to cover today. First is we are celebrating 25 years of India-Russia strategic partnership. We are also celebrating Golden Jubilee, that is 50 years of completion of regional rural banks. RBI has proposed measures for banking sector reforms. We are going to discuss the reforms. Then Union Cabinet has approved mission for Aatmanirbharta in pulses. And center government has notified draft promotion and regulation of online gaming rules 2025. We're also going to see some quick updates for the day. So the very first news, again, we are this October, in fact, we are celebrating 25 years of completion of India-Russia strategic partnership, which was started in the year 2000. So in the year 2000, the relation or the partnership started with the name of India-Russia Declaration on Strategic Partnership. After 10 years, we got a little bit upgrade. We became more friendly with Russia. And again, the strategic partnership got a new name, that is Special and Privileged Strategic Partnership, again, which is telling that again how close tie, trust and long-term cooperation which the two countries wanted as far as the strategic relations were concerned. So again, let's discuss what are the few areas of strategic let's say maybe this relation what these two countries have. So with respect to this, number one is institutional mechanisms and regular tax. It is just not like we have created a partnership and we are not doing anything. So again, every year, so again we have created few institutional mechanisms which is making sure that at a regular intervals we are interacting, and again we are talking to each other on different strategic matters. And number one is every year we are going to have annual summits where again leaders of both countries meet together and discuss different strategic issues. Then we have 2+2 dialogues, that is defense and foreign ministers of both countries meet together on a regular basis. Then we have intergovernmental commissions. For example, for trade we have a different commission, for economy we have different commission, for science, for technology and for culture. For all of these aspects of relation we have different commissions which has been constituted, which are meeting every year to discuss on these particular parameters. We also have military technical cooperation where again we are working jointly to upgrade our defense ties. That is a basic idea. So again, it is just not a partnership, it is a partnership which is happening, and again discussion is going on in a regular basis. Then we have what we call as trade and economy, and in fact the trade between these two countries has reached at a very high level. So currently we have record of $68.7 billion which we are trading in terms of Russia. Then again, in terms of exports from India to Russia, we are exporting medicines, chemicals, iron and steel, seafood. What we are importing, again, it is oil and petroleum, sunflower oil, fertilizer, coal, precious metals are the few areas which is getting imported from Russia. Then in terms of what we call as defense and security, initially India relied majorly on its defense imports from Russia. Now the relation of just a buyer-seller has upgraded. Now we are collaborating in terms of joint development of certain defense equipments. For example, we can talk about BrahMos cruise missiles, which has been jointly developed by India and Russia. Then in terms of, again, we know that again, and that has been the reasons for sanctions which has been put by US on us. And Russia is in fact the key defense partner of India. Then again, not just here, we are collaborating, and again we are holding each other at different multilateral platforms as well. So again, we are working together in the UN, we are working together on G20, BRICS, then SCO, and again technically we are countering the other Western big developed countries, for example US and China, on these organizations. So again, a very good relation we have with Russia, and again and that has been something where again when major countries maybe after the Cold War period, we have always supported Russia. And in fact, in the situations like this, wherein the tariffs have been imposed on us, still we are having a good relations with Russia. That is again, which is our time to be celebrating on that, and that is why we are celebrating this 25 years of completion of strategic relation with Russia. Any question? Again, such questions are very important because understand that international institutions relation with other countries are a part of both prelims and mains examination. In prelims, I think one question was asked recently: India has signed a deal known as Action Plan for Prioritization and Implementation of Cooperation Areas in Nuclear Field with which of the following countries, right? So whenever bilateral relation between two countries are there in news, any new agreement, any new cooperation, any new area of development is there, you're going to read them, you're going to understand that again how questions are asked. You need not to go too much in detail as far as prelims examination is concerned. A basic understanding is going to help you to solve the question. So here, of course, the answer is Russia. Then again, maybe in terms of analysis, again, look at the question here. What is the significance of Indo-US defense deal over Indo-Russian defense deals discussed with reference to stability in Indo-Pacific region? And that requires a basic analysis, wherein how strategically and how diplomatically we are handling both countries of US and Russia, and again how relations are being built, keeping in mind the differences with these two countries have with each other. So again, do a development and a news wherein you are going to understand the basic facts. And again, as it has completed 25 years, so certain anniversary year makes such topics important for your examination. The next topic is again, we are celebrating 50 years of regional rural bank establishment. It was established in the year 1975, and again 50 years of establishment of RRBs we are celebrating. Again, paper number 3, banking sector and NBFCs, topic of your syllabus. So what exactly are these regional rural banks? So again, many times to understand, technically there are many banks in rural areas. The name itself suggests rural banks. So again, they are in rural areas because big banks don't find it very profitable to do business in rural areas. Why? Because they don't feel like we'll get good business over there. And that is where, for a banking sector penetration, these rural regional banks have been established so that the persons living in rural areas, for example, the farmers, the agricultural, small traders, can get maybe help or finance through these banks, right? So technically, it was established through an ordinance in the year 1975, and again, very important, it was established on the recommendation of Narsimhan Committee on Rural Credit of 1975. Again, these kind of committees, maybe they can give you name of 4 or 5 committees and match the following type of questions: committees and what they have done, right? So if I talk about Narsimhan Committee on Rural Credit, it has something which is giving genesis to what we call as regional rural banks, and later on through a act of parliament, that is Regional Rural Bank of Act of 1976, it was given a statutory status. Then the idea is basically to strengthen rural credit along with the ideas of cooperatives. So basically, they are providing cheap, easy loans to small and marginal farmers, agricultural workers, rural artisans, poor households in semi-urban and rural areas. The idea, of course, is because you in rural areas, what is happening? If there is no banks, but again, we see there are money lenders who are charging very high rates of interest. And again, many times people come in trap of these money lenders and they lose out all of their money, right? And this is where this banks is basically getting rural people in terms of getting financing, finance for basic of their purposes. For example, they are reducing the dependence of money lenders who are charging very high interest rate. Then in terms of ownership, who exactly is the one who is owning these regional rural banks? In terms of its ownership, the government of India, that is central government, will have a 50% of stake in these banks. The respective state government will have a stake of 15%, and rest 35%, every nationalized bank is going to sponsor one rural bank in India, right? So the sponsor bank, usually a public sector bank that mentors the regional rural bank, is having a 35% stake, right? So again, it is a mixed tripartite shareholding, where again central government has 50%, concerned state government has 15%, and the sponsor bank who is sponsoring or mentoring that regional rural bank will have a share of 35%. Then in terms of how exactly they are regulated, again very important, because they can ask in prelims maybe in comparison of how does a normal bank differs from regional rural bank, right? Such kind of questions. So they are of course governed by Reserve Bank of India Banking Regulation Act of 1949, and NABARD is the one who is, that is National Bank for Agricultural Rural Development, is supervising them and helping them with an idea of refinancing, training and modernization. And okay, very important, for the taxation purpose of these regional rural banks, they are considered as cooperative societies under Income Tax Act of 1961, right? So for taxation purpose of these rural regional banks, they are considered as what? Companies under Cooperative Societies Act as per the National Income Tax or Income Tax Act of 1961. Tell me in comment, cooperatives in India have got constitutional status through which Constitutional Amendment Act. Again, this is how we are going to revise certain things. Then in terms of priority sector lending targets, again, as they have been originated or they have been made so that again the financing in this rural area becomes very much feasible. So of course they are going to meet a priority sector lending targets. So out of all the money which these banks have, 75% of their loans has to be given to priority sectors. Who are those? Farmers, rural artisans, small businesses, and weaker sections of society. And in fact, they have outperformed. The regional rural banks are supposed to give only 75%, but in practical, they're giving 89% of their loans to priority sectors, which is way higher than the normal commercial banks. So again, they're doing very well as far as we can talk about the ideas of financing in rural areas is concerned. Then in terms of amalgamation and reforms, so in 1991, it was felt, or in the 1990s, it was felt that these regional rural banks are not making much of profit. So in 2001, a committee was set up, that is Dr. V.S. Vyas committee, who has suggested that why not to merge many of the regional rural banks to make it more profitable in nature. And that is very important. So in 2005, many of the regional rural banks were consolidated for better infrastructure, more branches, computerization, and the idea of digital banking. Again, this committee recommendation, very important. So any question? So as far as the current status is concerned, how many banks or regional rural banks are in India? Currently, we have 43, and again, they are sponsored by 12 scheduled commercial banks. So almost every public sector bank is sponsoring except Punjab and Sindh Bank. That is something can come up in a prelims examination. That is, all scheduled commercial banks are sponsoring any of the regional rural banks. It is incorrect. Why? Because Punjab and Sindh Bank are not sponsoring it. In fact, one private bank, that is J&K Bank, is the only private sponsor for a regional rural bank. Then in terms of financial inclusion, again, we have seen that government has been trying with an idea of what we call as financial inclusion. So again, these banks have been helping hand in terms of promoting the idea of financial inclusion. How? Let's see. They have held, maybe in these banks, we have 18.5% of Jan Dhan Yojana accounts was created in these regional rural banks. 13.3% of PM Suraksha Bima Yojana and all has been under these regional rural banks, and also 16.9% of PM Kisan accounts for farmers are in these regional rural banks, which is telling that how well they have penetrated and how well they have been helping with an idea of financial inclusion as well. Any question? Yes. Maybe in the year 13, which of the following grants and grant direct credit assistance to rural households? So again, if you look at the options here, regional rural banks, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, land developmental banks. Again, if you have read the topic of banking chapter, you must have understood, because we have seen that again RRBs is doing that function, right? So tell me in comment what would be the answer. I'm telling one is of course right. So what are among these two, which of them, or either both of them, are helping with an idea of direct credit assistance to rural households? So questions in examination will be in this pattern only as far as the banking chapter is concerned. Then the next topic is very important, very important development, where again RBI has proposed banking sector reforms of 2025. Very important. You can use these reforms in your answers in order to put up your point of view as far as the banking sector is concerned. So again, we are going to see what are the reforms which it has proposed and what is its meaning. Number one is risk-based premium for deposit insurance. For example, I'll make you understand a very simple manner. Assume you have deposited some amount of money, or you're keeping amount of money in a bank account. What if the bank fails? What will be happening to your money which you have kept in the bank? So in cases of bank failures, there is some kind of insurance which these banks are doing. What is the insurance called? And again, every bank is paying a certain amount of insurance to the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. So this is the insurance company which is insuring your money which is there in the bank, and the maximum limit is 5 lakh. If any of these banks fail, you're going to get minimum of 5 lakh depending upon the nature of money which you have, or the amount of money which you have put up in that particular bank. Clear? So technically what new reforms has proposed, in fact every bank was supposed to pay same amount of insurance. Let's say if a bank is doing well, it is following all rules and regulations, its profits are going high, everything is well, and some other bank is not doing well, so why you are considering both these banks same? So again, for example, insurance amount was same for all the banks irrespective of their performance. So this new reform has proposed, if some banks are doing good, so the amount of insurance which they need to pay for the deposits of insurance is less as compared to some other banks who are not performing well. Because the banks who are not performing well, of course they are expected to fail in the coming future. Assume, just an exemption. So that is again a very rational step and a very good step. So this extra amount of money which bank will have, again it is going to increase liquidity in the market. So again, to reward good banks and push weak banks to improve, that is the idea. And again, this is the basic idea with respect to this. Then the next topic is expected credit loss provisioning. What is exactly this? So if you understand that if you are keeping some amount with the bank, right? How does bank do the transaction? How does bank earn money? So if you're keeping amount with the bank, that money is being used by bank to give loans. Clear? So what if the loans become non-performing assets? Right? So this is an idea where again what we have done, that again that is called as loan provisioning, is something which you must have learned in the banking chapter. What is loan provisioning? For example, if bank has given a loan, that loan becomes an NPA. So how does the bank is going to recover such things? Again, there are different mechanisms. So there is a provision of loan provisioning as well. Out of all the profit which a bank is earning, some amount of money is going to be taken out for such bad loans provisioning. So as of now, this loan provisioning was happening by the banks only after a particular loan has become a non-performing asset. So what this new reforms has proposed, I'll again give a very simple example. Assume, let's say you have 10 friends, right? And you have given some amount of money to 10 of your friends. But you are very much sure that again 2 of your friends to whom you have given money, they are the ones who have a history of maybe not giving back the money on right time. So whenever you are giving loan to out of 10 friends, you're sure that again these 2 person is going to be doing some kind of maybe time delay in terms of giving back me the money. Similarly, the new reforms has told that again banks are going to use maybe some kind of data which it has in terms of the bank, maybe the borrower's history or anything like that. So different parameters are going to be considered, and they are going to identify that which loans are high chances of getting NPA, and before it becoming an NPA we are keeping aside some amount of money for what we call as expected credit loss provisioning. That is a basic idea with respect to this particular thing. Then in terms of revised Basel norms, that is capital adequacy ratio, what exactly is this? For example, maybe you understand that again you have kept the money with the bank is giving, or bank is using that money for its own maybe doing business. So every bank has to keep a basic safety cushion. कि मान लीजिए कि if let's say if a bank is having 100 rupees as his deposit, if it is using those 100 rupees in the market to do business by giving loans or any other thing, it has to keep aside some amount of money so that it become a safety cushion. Ki what if something happens? So there has to be some amount of money which should I have, which would act as a safety net against that maybe dysfunctional thing which I have done. So that is something which is called as safety. Maybe what this amount of money which banks are keeping aside is basically called as capital adequacy ratio amount. Right. So at an international level, which was held maybe in, let's say, of course, in Switzerland. So we are going to, at an international level, there are rules which you call as Basel norms. So again, they are telling that again, the new norms tell that again, we are going to apply the revised Basel III norms for capital adequacy as far as the banking sector is Indian concerned. That is a basic idea. And in fact, what they have done, for MSME loans and for home loans, the safety cushion which was initially kept was high. They are telling that again, no, these sectors are doing good. And again, we want to promote these sectors. So again, the amount of money which has to be kept as a safety cushion for MSMEs and home loans is getting reduced. So the extra amount of money which bank is going to have is of course going to enter into the market and of course going to increase liquidity in the market. So again, it is going to make the lending to small businesses, that is MSMEs, and again loans which are being given to the home buyers more accessible, more friendly in terms of better interest rates. So again, it is trying to free up the capital. Banks can lend more and help grow without making banks too risky. Then lastly, we have broader capital market lending. Very, very, very important. That again, what exactly was there? What are capital markets? Capital markets are basically areas in which companies come up and they get money from investors. So as of now, the banks limited their amount of lending as far as stock markets were concerned. So what is happening now? In case of acquisitions, for example, let's say company A is going to acquire company B. It may be for the acquisition purpose, company A requires some amount of money. So in that cases, as per the new norm, loans can be given to a particular company if it is trying to acquire any new company. One major development. Then we have, let's say, for example, against your securities, what you are holding. So again, the ceiling was, let's say, fixed. Key, for example, for whatever securities a particular company holding, by mortgaging that particular security, you were getting some amount of loan. So that ceiling limit has been removed. Then it is again with this, what will happen? It will enhance the lending by banks against shares from 20 lakhs to 1 crore. That is the idea. That again, the ceiling limit is maybe against any share. If any company wants to take up a loan, initially ceiling limit was 20 lakh. It has been increased to 1 crore. Whenever a company goes for IPO, it also requires money. So technically, in case of IPO financing, the amount of loan has been increased from 10 lakhs to 25 lakh per person. So again, and in fact, there is high limits for loans against shares, RETs, investments, and again, listed debt securities. So basically, it is going to deepen India's financial market and to give more options to business to raise money. And again, very helpful in terms of reduction of cost of capital market, boosting ease of doing business. One major development has also been proposed by a reform that, as far as trade is concerned, government is trying to promote trade in Indian rupees. Right. So there are few banks who are authorized banks who do financial transactions in foreign currencies. So for certain neighboring countries, for Nepal, for Bhutan, and for Sri Lanka, these authorized banks who are supposed to do maybe give currency or do maybe foreign currency transactions, they are authorized to give maybe amount in INR cash or in INR currency. What does it mean? So that, let's say, if we are doing some trade relation with Sri Lanka or let's say Nepal or Bhutan, they are not obligated to do in US dollar, which is a common currency for international trade. And with this kind of step, it is promotion of more of Indian currencies or Indian rupees for bilateral trade between the countries of Nepal, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. So authorized banks in India as well as their branches in these three countries are allowed to give money in terms of INR. Clear? That is a basic, again, very important development. So again, these are the 4 or 5 major developments which this RBI has proposed as far as banking reforms are concerned. Very important. You can use it in your answers, and there could be Williams questions as well, which could be framed from the 4 topics which we have discussed. The next topic is again, Union Cabinet has approved mission for Aatmanirbharta in pulses. Again, a part of paper number 3, buffer stocks and food security. Again, pulses, the high source of protein in India. So again, India, in fact, is the largest producer and consumer both of pulses in the world. So recently in this year's budget, we have proposed a plan for maybe production of pulses more in India. So for that particular thing, for the next 6 years, from 25 to 2030, we have been given 11,440 crores, which is again a very huge investment by government in this pulses sector. So the major goals are, we are going to grow more pulses. So again, the cultivation is of the area in which pulses are cultivated is going to be 310 lakh of hectares, and special push, because many times you understand that once rice is harvested, so that piece of land is maybe there is nothing done in such piece of land. So there is a special push for those 35 lakh hectares and more, which are being used by rice fallow areas. What are rice fallow areas? Which are fields that are empty after rice harvest, and other lands that can be diversified for pulses production. That has been the area of this particular, or that is the goal as far as Aatmanirbharta and pulses is concerned. Then again, we are trying to produce more pulses, because again, although we are major a producer of pulses in the country, but still the demand of pulses consumption in the country is increasing, and the production is not able to meet up the demand for pulses in the country. And that is where we are trying to push more pulses production. For that, maybe we are trying to reach 350 lakh tons of pulses. Productivity per yield is also going to be improved from current levels of 1130 kg per hectare. We are trying to improve from this level as well. And the major pulses which we are targeting here in this particular program is Tur Arhar, that is pigeon pea, urad, that is black gram, and masoor, that is red lentil. Then, in terms of how exactly we are trying to achieve this Aatmanirbharta in pulses, number one is better seeds. So again, as you understand, with the growing nature of climate change happening, climate resilient seeds of pulses are supposed to be given as per this particular program. So again, climate resilient, improved variety of seeds so that the crop of pulses can withstand unpredictable weather. Then again, agriculture is a state subject. Why it has been kept in state subject? Because every state has a different conditions as far as geography, climate, weather, water, many soil is concerned. So there could not be one specific approach which is going to be equally applicable to all areas of pulses production in the country. So what we have done, some areas who are having different kind of geographical conditions, soil conditions, are going to be given a different nature of support as far as this particular program is concerned. So again, different regions have different needs, so strategies are going to be tailoring up with the demand of that particular region. Then infrastructure, one major problem again across every one important maybe problem in the entire agricultural sector is what? Infrastructure. So as far as pulses are concerned, once pulses are produced, there is no better storage facilities, right? There is no processing facilities. So again, we are also targeting that the storage, processing and value addition facilities are going to be improved so that the farmers can earn more and more money from pulses production, and wastage is going to be reduced. Then we have guaranteed purchase, because again, you understand how we are going to encourage farmers to grow pulses, wherein we are giving MSPs, and there are other crops which are more lucrative in terms of the production. So for that particular purpose, it has been given in guarantee as per this particular program, that again for the next 4 years we are giving in guarantee that the National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India and the National Cooperative Consumers Federation of India will buy 100% of produce in the participating states for the next 4 years. This is removing the farmers that again, if price is crashing, they have an assurance key. These two bodies are going to take our pulses at a defined, very standardized price, and we are not going to make any loss as far as price crash is concerned. We are also going to observe the international market prices of pulses. For example, assume that again we are trying to give them stability in terms of price by giving them an assurance that we are going to buy pulses at a very defined price from these two bodies. What if, let's say, pulses is from made in, maybe assume, let's say Africa is the one country from which we are importing pulses. There is huge production of pulses in Africa. Of course, the price of pulses is going to be reduced because huge production has happened, and these cheaper pulses enter into the Indian market. Are they not going to be making Indian pulses less competitive as far as price is concerned? Yes. So for that, we are going to monitor the international price crash of pulses, and if any price crash is happening, we are going to make sure that again we are going to make some subsidies, we are going to give some kind of support so that they become equally competitive, and again there is no such shock which are being felt by Indian pulses producers. Clear? That is a basic idea through which we are trying to promote Aatmanirbharta in pulses as per this particular scheme of the government. Then why it is needed? Very important. We have discussed largest producer, largest consumer of pulses, and in fact production has increased, but again still we are not able to meet the demand of pulses. What do we have in the country? The demand is growing faster because again rising of incomes, people are buying more, people are more concerned about their diet, they are most concerned about the proteins what they're eating, urbanization, health awareness, and import is again telling that again all the production is increasing, at the very same time import is also increasing. We have taken up, let's say, 72.56 lakh ton of, or maybe worth 5.48 billion of pulses have been imported. So again, with heavy import bill dependency and again a rise in food security. So again, this is where why we are majorly focused on Aatmanirbharta in pulses. Clear? Any kind of question? I think one question was there. With reference to pulse production in India, consider the following statements. Black gram can be cultivated as both Kharif and Rabi crop. Green gram can alone account for nearly half of pulse production. In the last 3 decades, while production of Kharif pulses has increased, the production of Rabi pulses has decreased. Again, these kind of data you're going to find in economic survey of every year. Again, economic survey gives us data around all such basic areas of agriculture. So you're going to refer, again, the latest one would be available next year. So again, you're going to see all such agricultural maybe facts which are coming up in economic survey, because they become this kind of questions are basically asked from such topics in examination. Clear? The next topic, Center has notified draft promotion and regulation of online gaming rules. We are very much aware of the new Online Gaming Act, which is again trying to maybe ban all forms of online money games in India. Again, very important topic for your paper number 2, governance, government politics and interventions. So again, we have discussed this, that again, whenever this act was passed by the parliament. So what is happening? So we have passed the Promotion and Regulation of Online Gaming Act 2025. So again, as per this act, there's a categorization of online games. So again, this act defines what do we mean by online games, and these online games have been classified into 3 types. One is esports. Esports are basically kind of competitive video games which we play by applying our strategic skills, team building, many things. For example, you can talk about Counter-Strike, you can talk about FIFA, any such games which you are playing by engaging your strategic skills, your abilities to play that particular game. So this is something which is allowed as per this particular act. It is also defining what we call as online social games, which basically people are paying for socially rejuvenation, for fun, for skill-based games, wherein no money is involved. For example, Candy Crush you can talk about. Then there are third category of game which has been classified as per this particular act is online money games. At any point of time, if you're engaging in any of the gaming platform by an expectation that again, if I invest this amount of money in this game, in return of certain profit, that kind of games are called as online money games. For example, Dream 11. Again, that you can understand Dream 11 was a company, Pokerbazi was a company who again, in which technically betting and gambling was not happening, but again, many people and these gaming platforms had an opportunity that again, you play, you invest amount of money and you can get money out of it as a profit. It was also seen that again, many of the people of our country has lost a lot amount of money in these online money game platforms. In fact, World Health Organization has also classified that again, this addiction to these online money games is a kind of mental health issue. People are not doing their basic day activities. They are so much engaged in this online money game. So again, complete ban of this online money games has been done as per this particular act. So again, recently the government has come up with the new rules for this online money games rule regulation. So again, it has been put up in public forum for public comment. So let's see what are the rules, draft rules which has been posted. Again, as I discussed, this bill was passed as a finance bill. So again, as of now, there was no authority which was governing online games in India. So as per this particular act, Online Gaming Authority has been constituted, who is going to regulate all kind of online games. Example, esport and online social games. Every such game has to be registered with this particular body, right? So again, any matter of legality, any matter of violation, everything would be regulated by this particular body. Then every gaming platform has to register with this particular body we have discussed. then there is going to be creation of grievance redressal mechanisms. For example, if you are a player of that particular game, maybe an e-sport or a online social game, so the every such gaming platform has to create a grievance redressal mechanism. It is going to be three-tiered structure. The first is the company's own grievance officer. Then if it is not resolved over here, it can go to grievance appellate committee, right? And then to the body, that is online gaming authority, as far as the grievance redressal mechanism is concerned. Then lastly, any violations is going to be a non-bailable offense. What is non-bailable offense? Because any offense where again bail as a matter of right you cannot claim, so again it is a non-bailable offense, and every staff of such company who are associated with any of the online money games or any violation will be held liable under a criminal offense. Clear? Then any other laws which are already in India as far as maybe banning of such online money games are concerned? Yes, as for the IT Act of Section 69A, government has authority to block any of such gaming apps and websites which are of illegal nature. As per Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita app, it is punishing all kinds of illegal gambling and cyber crimes. As per the IGST Act, it is keeping track of all offshore companies who are operating online gaming in our country. Then, as per the Consumer Protection Act of 2019, it is banning all kinds of fake advertisement or false advertisement which are being done by certain persons to promote these online money games. So these are the existing provisions, and this bill is a new proposed reform in the domain of online gaming sector in India. Very important news. Then any question which has been asked? Again, maybe sometime questions are not, maybe some topics or some news you cannot directly you cannot expect a direct question from such topic, but there are some questions in which you can use such content in your answers. One such example is, discuss how emerging technologies and globalization contribute to money laundering. Elaborate measures to tackle the problem of money laundering both at national and international levels. One of the reasons of maybe banning of these online money games was that the platforms or the companies who were not registered in India, but some foreign companies who are making such online money games in India, the money was basically used for terror financing, for money laundering purposes, right? So that was one of the reasons for banning of this online money games. So again, you can use that as an example. The new emerging form is this as well, right? So again, some explicit and some implicit nature of points which you can use in such answers. Moving on to the quick updates for the day. So the very first news is Sar Creek region has been in news. Why? Because Pakistan has been building up military infrastructure in the Sar Creek region. Very important, see where it is. So again, it is a basically 96-kilometer long estuary or tidal estuary between the Run of Kutch in India and the Sindh region of Pakistan. Again, it is opening up to this Arabian Sea, and it is made by, again, named after the British official, that is Mr. Creek. So again, why exactly is the dispute? India is claiming that again, if it's a 96-kilometer of water, a tidal estuary, there is one concept of what we call as Thalweg principle. What is this Thalweg principle? India is telling that again, if this 96-kilometer of estuary is navigable, if we can navigate, if ships can move in this particular water channel, the boundary is going to be exactly half. Maybe, and if this is the bound, if it's a 96-kilometer channel of Sar Creek, if it is navigable, in terms of dividing the maritime boundary, we are going to do it half. Half of them should belong to India, and half from this area should belong to Pakistan. That is the India say. So again, they are telling that again, we are going to follow the Thalweg principle boundary, that is middle line of navigable channel. Pakistan is telling that again, this channel is not navigable in nature, and that totally belongs to us. So that is why that there is still a dispute as far as the claim of this particular region is concerned. And again, why it is important? Because any maritime boundary, wherever the land ends and in the sea, so again, very important. So in the sea region, whatever is the claim of that particular country, that is basically called as a maritime boundary. That is very important for what? Shipping, fishing rights, for marine resources, for oil and gas exploration potential, for maritime boundary impacts, the EEZ claims. Again, very important for security sensitivity of the region, right? That is why it was in news, because of the recent building of military infrastructure in the Pakistan region of this Sar Creek. The next news is again many of military and maritime exercises which are there. It comes up in news. It is very important for you to read that again which country has hosted that particular exercise, what is the basic mandate, why they are doing it. So recently Exercise Pacific Reach 2025, short form XPR 25, has been completed. So again, it is a bilateral multinational submarine rescue exercise. So again, an exercise for what? Submarine rescue. How many countries are participating in this particular exercise? 40 plus countries, including India, and it was recently hosted by Singapore. Very important. These kind of questions could be there in your prelims examination. The next topic is H125 helicopters. Again, the whole idea of Make in India, the whole idea of privatization in defense sector is an example of this particular news, that India for the very first time have a private sector helicopter final assembly line which is there in Kolar region of Karnataka. And again, this particular helicopter is made by the collaboration of Airbus plus Tata Advanced Systems, and the first rollout of helicopters are expected to be by 2027. So what are the basic features of this helicopter? So again, they are running in single engine. They are very much lightweight helicopter. They are maybe very much having a multi-role in terms of defense, in terms of police, rescue, tourism, medicine, medivic, anywhere it can be used because of their nature of single engine and lightweight helicopter. And they have an ability to operate in high altitudes and even at very hot climates. So very basic specifications. Again, a factual piece of news which is again important for your prelims examination. They can ask you what is the nature of H15 by 125 helicopters. Is it private, public? It is made in collaboration of which two companies? Such kind of news could be asked. The next topic is foreign portfolio investors FPI rules. It is in news. Why? Because recently we have seen major selling of Indian shares by these FPOs, that is has reached to $2.2 trillion. So many of the foreign portfolio investors are selling out their investments in Indian companies. Again, it is highlighting what are investors maybe very much susceptible to invest in the Indian market. So it is talking about the IS market volatility, pressure on, of course, rupee, concerns over foreign investor sentiment. So basic rules, let's see why it is, what are the rules around FPO in India. Any companies, if let's say a company has 100 shares, FPOs can only have 10% capability to have in that particular company. So again, a 10% cap on companies paid up equity capital is it with FPO. If it is greater than 10%, अगर कोई FPO is having more than 10%, so extra amount of shares it has to sell out. And if it is not willing to sell out, it has to convert it into what we call as foreign direct investment. It will no longer be classified as an foreign portfolio investment, right? As far as regulatory framework is concerned, there is no classification of FDI in prohibited sectors, example chit funds and gambling, and approval is required for FPIs from land bordering countries as far as India is concerned. So again, that is why it was in news, because many of the FPOs are sold out, and it again putting up concerns over in foreign investor sentiment in Indian market. The next news is snow leopard in Himachal Pradesh. Again, the population of snow leopard in Himachal Pradesh has increased by 62%. And again, from 51 in 2021 to 83. Again, that is a major development. Again, basic information. Whenever such species comes up in news, you're going to read up about their scientific name, uh, their IUCN status, their maybe they are they vulnerable, critically vulnerable, maybe what is the habitation where they live, right? So such piece of information are supposed to be read. Example, they are found, this snow leopard are found in 12 Asian countries, including India. In India, they're found in Himalayas, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Arunachal Pradesh. They are also called as ghosts of the mountains because of the camouflage effect which they have. Then, in terms of they lives in very rugged and high altitude region. As far the IUCN status is concerned, they are vulnerable. They, as in the sites, they are kept under Appendix 1, that is strictest protection in trade in as far as sites is concerned with snow leopards. And in the Wildlife Protection Act, it has been kept under Schedule 1, which is getting a highest protection status. Clear? The next news is Urban Flood Risk Management Program Phase 2. Again, we know about urban floods. Again, what is happening whenever the infrastructure development in these urban areas are not capable enough, whenever these huge amount of rains are happening. Very example, you see, whenever such huge rains are happening, we see in Delhi, Gurugram, huge amount of water loggings are happening. So again, government has planned what we call as urban flood planning management program. So whenever heavy rains happen with the poor drainage of cities, we see city floods. So again, what happens after this? Encroachment, blocked drains, climate change is the reason. And again, impact is loss of life, property, and economy. So under this particular program, a high-level committee has been constituted by Union Home Minister. 11 cities have been identified where again this program is going to be implemented. Funding is going to be given by 90% by center and 10% by state as per as the National Disaster Management Force guidelines are concerned. And what kind of measures? So again, two kind of measures they are taking to tackle the problem of urban floods. One is structural measures, maybe how we are going to improve the infrastructure by linking water bodies to storm water drains, by flood protection walls, by soil stabilization, erosion control using nature-based solution. These are some structural reforms. What are some non-structural reforms? Early warning system, data collection, monitoring, capacity building, and training. So this has been there as far as flood management is concerned. You can use it as an example in any question which is talking about urban floods. What is a possible solution? How we are planning it? You can mention about this particular program of the government. The next topic is Amazon's flying rivers. Again, if I talk about flying rivers, do rivers fly as well? So again, no, technically, the water vapor in the atmosphere are categorized or being technically called as flying rivers. So basically, they are rivers in the sky made of water vapor. So again, in the Amazon region, the Amazon flying rivers, the major source of water vapors are from Atlantic Ocean evaporation. Evaporation is happening, water vapor is getting created, and again through Amazon forest transpiration. So whenever plant in the transpiration process, they also release some amount of water in the atmosphere. So these are the two sources of flying rivers. That is the basic idea. So in this, and the process also called as evapotranspiration, that is the water vapor is forming due to evaporation and through plants transpiration. So why it is in news, why the Amazon's flying rivers are weakening? Number one is due to the, again, why how do they work? They carry the inland trade winds, basic idea which you must have read, from west to Amazon basin, and they hit the Andes mountains, they cool down, and they bring about rainfall in that particular region. So now they are getting weakened due to fewer trees, deforestation happening. If deforestation happening, the plant transpiration is going to be reduced, and again the flying rivers water vapor content is going to be reduced, and again going to affect the region in this region's rainfall. It again also due to maybe flying rivers are shrinking, and again results in more droughts, ecosystem collapse, and water crisis. That is the basic idea. They can ask you, maybe Amazon's flying rivers was in news, it is related to which body, or what is exactly it basically is talking about the ideas of evapotranspiration. Then we have biostimulants. Again, biostimulants, bio means something of biological nature, stimulant means it is giving some kind of stimulus to something. So as far as agriculture is concerned, fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides are something which are applied on these agricultural things, and again, they are putting up desired results. Biostimulants are the ones who are not making any changes in as far as these things are concerned. They are simulating the growth mechanism or improving the soil content or many things like that in a natural manner. These are called as biostimulants. So any example, they are not fertilizers. They absorb nutrient. They help absorb nutrients better. They tolerate stress, the heat, drought. They improve soil health. Any examples of biostimulants? Humic acids, seaweed extracts, compost liquids, good bacteria and fungi. All of these are examples of biostimulants. So recently, government has withdrawn approval for animal protein based biostimulants because in India we have a sentiment with respect to food which is of course going to be respected. Many people are vegetarians of nature, so again government initially planned to introduce animal protein based biostimulants. So again, with the religious sentiment regarding food, what do we have? Their approval has been withdrawn. Again, we are no longer going to use animal protein based biostimulants in the agricultural sector, right? So again, we are only going to use plant based and microbial biostimulants, which is as far as allowed. The next topic is biomedical research career program phase 3, again in the sectors of medical sector. In terms of emerging research and development, there is this particular program which has been approved by Union Cabinet, and again it is partnered with Department of Biotechnology in India, the Wellcome Trust of UK and India Alliance. Again, the idea is to nurture the top tier scientific talent as far as the medical sector is concerned, promote interdisciplinary and translational research, build world-class biomedical capacity with global impact, and reduce regional disparities in research opportunities in these areas. Right? Again, a factual-based thing which you can use in your answers. So with this, we come to an end of today's News Today discussion. All important questions which could be framed from the topic which I have discussed will pop up in your screen. It is now your responsibility to solve such questions. Please post your answers in the comment section, which is going to create a competitive spirit among students who are watching this initiative of Vision IS. Lastly, we have come up with digital current affairs platform, which is going to be a one-stop solution for all current affairs related things as far as UPSC examination is concerned. Please go and navigate the website. It is certainly going to help you a lot in terms of your current affairs preparation. So till the time, all the very best and thank you so much.